Some connections seem to defy time, logic, and even conscious choice. There are encounters that cannot be explained in words, yet resonate deeply in the soul, as if an ancient memory is reactivated the moment our eyes meet. When two people are truly destined for one another, certain signs begin to appear repeatedly, echoes of the unconscious trying to guide both toward the same direction. These signs are not mere coincidences. They are symbols, messages, and synchronicities that speak the language of the psyche. In this video, we will explore how these signs arise and why they keep appearing when two souls are intertwined by something greater. Drawing on Carl Jung's analytical psychology, we'll dive into the truth behind these transformative encounters. If you believe that true connections transcend chance, comment below. I trust the signs of my unconscious. In Carl Jung's analytical psychology, profound encounters between two people are not merely emotional experiences, but manifestations of the collective unconscious and the process of individuation. When we feel that someone belongs to us, or that we are destined for that person, Jung would suggest that we are witnessing a deep, psychic mirroring, where the other person represents not only who they are, but also hidden aspects of ourselves. One of the key concepts that helps us understand this is projection. At the outset of an intense connection, we project onto the other parts of our own psyche, our hopes, wounds, internal archetypes, and even unconscious images of the feminine, anima, or masculine, animus. When two people are truly linked by this archetypal force, the signs begin to appear again and again: shared dreams, symbolic coincidences, unexpected reunions, and feelings that withstand the passage of time. These manifestations are not accidental. They emerge from the unconscious as synchronicities, a fundamental Jungian concept. Unlike simple coincidences, synchronicities carry a deep personal meaning, as if the universe itself were conspiring to bring hidden truths into consciousness. The constant presence of these signs indicates that an integration process is underway. The relationship becomes a living mirror where shadow, light, desire, and pain converge. If understood well, this bond can lead both individuals on a path of individuation, the journey toward wholeness through the other. A true connection is not about romantic completeness, but about an expansion of consciousness. There is something mysterious about the way we feel drawn to certain people. Often, we cannot rationally explain why an encounter feels so significant. It is as if, when we look into the other's eyes, something inside us is awakened, a silent recognition, an inexplicable familiarity. According to Jung, this happens because we project onto the other parts of our own unconscious psyche. We project our inner images, archetypes, wounds, and even the ideal of love we've built over a lifetime. Projection, in this sense, is an inevitable psychic mechanism in human relationships. In the early stages of an intense bond, it is common to see in the other exactly what we are seeking in ourselves. This phenomenon is not false or illusory, but a natural movement of the unconscious guiding us towards self-knowledge. Jung teaches that the soul seeks the other not merely for companionship or pleasure, but to see itself reflected and thus to become conscious of itself. When we say that someone completes us, we are often referring to the activation of the anima or animus, central concepts in Jungian psychology. The anima represents the unconscious feminine aspect in a man's psyche, while the animus represents the unconscious masculine aspect in a woman's psyche. When we meet someone who embodies these qualities, we feel an almost mystical attraction, as though we've rediscovered something lost. This encounter is powerful precisely because it touches dormant areas of our soul. The other person becomes a mirror, reflecting both our light and our shadow. They reveal what is most beautiful and what we most deny in ourselves. And this can be overwhelming. Many deep relationships begin with this sense of destiny, reunion, and belonging, driven by the force of projection. However, projection, while a necessary starting point, cannot be the final destination of the relationship. If we fail to recognize and address it, projection distorts our perception of the other and prevents a true meeting. As the relationship deepens, projections start to fall away. What once seemed perfect begins to reveal flaws, limits, and contradictions. That moment marks a turning point. Love has the chance to cease being an illusion and to become truth. Many people recoil at this turning point, believing the magic has vanished. In reality, what has ended is the spell of projection. Now comes the real challenge, seeing the other as they truly are, not as we imagined them. Jung invites us to dive courageously into this process. True bond arises when we stop seeking in the other what we lack and instead take responsibility for integrating those forgotten parts within ourselves. If we successfully navigate this journey, the relationship transforms into a powerful path of individuation. We grow not because the other completes us, but because the other confronts us, teaches us, and reveals us. The mirrored soul remains a reflection, but now a conscious reflection, a constant invitation to inner evolution. The signs that this connection is significant will continue to appear as long as there is learning, transformation, and integration. They are not guarantees of an idealized romantic ending, but indicators that this encounter plays a fundamental role in our psychic development. When the soul recognizes itself in the gaze of the other, the external world begins to vibrate in harmony, sending messages, symbols, and omens that affirm the path. Being with someone truly destined does not mean it will always be easy or light. It means there will be mirroring, depth, challenge, and above all, growth. It means the soul has found a living mirror to continue its journey toward wholeness. There are moments in life when events align with poetic precision. You think of someone and they appear. A book falls off the shelf and opens to exactly the passage you need. A number, a song, or even a phrase repeats insistently when you're near a particular person. Jung called these phenomena synchronicities, simultaneous events without apparent causal connection, but laden with symbolic meaning. For Jung, synchronicities are expressions of the collective unconscious, as if the external universe were reflecting the internal state of the psyche. When two people are bound by an invisible thread, the psyche begins to speak through these signs, indicating that something greater is at work. It isn't mere coincidence, but symbolic communication from the unconscious, urging us to recognize the deep significance of that connection. In destined relationships, synchronicities arise frequently and insistently. Random encounters, unlikely connections, recurring symbols, all become part of a pattern guided by a force beyond rational control. These signs often precede the relationship as well, as if announcing its arrival and importance. Continuously seeing the same number, repeatedly dreaming of the same person before meeting them, or finding objects and messages directly tied to them are typical manifestations. Such experiences have an immediate emotional impact because they touch a layer of the soul that recognizes symbolism before the mind comprehends it. The resulting emotion is a silent confirmation something meaningful is unfolding. But why do these signs appear precisely when a deep connection is at hand? Because that relationship is tied to our individuation process. The unconscious, which always seeks psychic wholeness, uses symbols and synchronicities to draw our attention to what needs integration. In this sense, the other acts as a catalyst for internal change, and the external signs are reflections of that inner movement. It's important to understand that synchronicities are neither predictions nor guarantees of a happy ending. They do not determine the relationship's future, but signal that a significant psychic opportunity is being offered. Whether that opportunity is seized depends on the awareness both individuals bring to themselves and to the bond. Jung stressed that a symbol is a doorway, not a destination. It points the way, but doesn't carry us there. In true relationships, signs serve not only to confirm the other's importance, but also to remind us of our responsibility to transform the experience into genuine growth. The soul recognizes what is essential, but consciousness must choose how to respond. Synchronicity is not a promise. It's an invitation to awaken to what is happening inside and outside ourselves. These signs also test us. We live in a culture that prizes reason, control, and logic. Trusting symbols and signs requires sensitivity, inner listening, and a courage to engage with the unseen. Jung did not regard this as mysticism, but as an openness to life's and the psyche's mysteries. For him, synchronicity was one of the clearest proofs that the unconscious is always trying to converse with us. When someone stirs our inner world, it is natural for the outer world to start responding. It's as though the entire universe becomes complicit in the process. The more attentive we are, the more we see that nothing is accidental. Synchronicities remind us that a symbolic intelligence is at work in our lives, guiding us toward what truly matters. Trusting these signs does not mean indulging illusions or idealizations, but opening to forces greater than the ego. It means giving voice to the unseen, It means acknowledging that when two souls are deeply connected, even time and space bend, so the encounter happens exactly as the soul needs. When we speak of a true connection, we often imagine something light, harmonious, and effortlessly understood. Yet the deepest bonds rarely follow that ideal. The more genuine the connection, the more it stirs the darker corners of our psyche. That's because intimacy activates not only what we love about ourselves, but also what we deny and fear. Here lies Jung's essential concept, the shadow. The shadow comprises all aspects of our personality that have been repressed, denied, or undeveloped. It is not inherently negative, but includes everything the ego refuses to recognize as its own. In a deep bond, the other becomes a mirror, reflecting both light and darkness in our soul. It's precisely this mirror effect that makes such relationships so powerfully transformative. They force us to face what we'd rather avoid. In the early enchanted phase, everything seems perfect, dominated by projection, as we see in the other all we wish to see, including qualities we seek in ourselves. Over time, the projections fade, and the real human emerges, with flaws, wounds, and complexities. That is when the shadow begins to surface, and it's unavoidable. Intimate living brings to light tensions, jealousy, insecurity, anger, resentment, and pain we might not have even known we carried. The other does this not out of malice, but because proximity pierces our defenses. If we remain open, that friction becomes the raw material for true inner alchemy. Jung taught that we do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The presence of the shadow is not a problem to be avoided, but a precious opportunity for growth. In a destined relationship, it is precisely this tension that signals the bond's transformative power. If the relationship does not challenge us, it likely is not transforming us. The key lies in how we respond. Many, confronted by the shadow, project it onto their partner, blaming them as the problem, fueling conflicts, or fleeing by ending the relationship. Jung calls us instead to look inward. Whatever in the other disturbs us most likely reflects a repressed part of ourselves. When integrated, the shadow transforms into strength, creativity, and authenticity. But this requires courage, to admit that what the other awakens in us belongs not only to them, but also to us. It demands stepping out of our comfort zones, relinquishing the illusion of control, and surrendering to psychic transformation. At this stage, relationships become genuine paths of individuation. They evolve from happily ever after into ever more conscious every day. The shadow's ongoing presence does not signal the end of love, but its call to grow. It means the relationship remains a living mirror of the soul, where what is hidden must come to light. If two people traverse this journey together, without blame, without escape, and without losing themselves, the bond they forge is rare in its depth. It becomes an alliance not only with each other, but with their own inner truths. That is what makes such a relationship enduring and essential. Accepting the shadow in the other and in ourselves is one of the greatest acts of love. There can be no growth without confrontation, and no whole soul without facing its own darkness. When two destinies intertwine in truth, love becomes a path of healing, revelation, and wholeness. In Jungian psychology, the ultimate aim of human development is individuation, the process of becoming who we truly are by integrating conscious and unconscious aspects of the psyche. This path is intensely personal, yet paradoxically flourishes when shared with another whose presence both activates and challenges our inner world. When two souls unite under this profound call, their relationship becomes a spiritual journey of mutual integration. True love, from a Jungian perspective, is not a romantic fusion of two halves seeking completion, but a meeting of two wholes in formation, individuals who see each other as mirrors, teachers, and fellow travelers. In such a union, the other does not fill our voids, but reveals hidden content and awakens dormant potential. Often, this bond begins with strong projections. We idealize our partner as savior, complement, or perfect love. Gradually, that image crumbles, revealing the true complexity of the other. Many feel disappointed, thinking the enchantment is gone. Yet, from the individuation viewpoint, that shattering is when the true relationship begins. Raw authenticity replacing illusion, offering real opportunities for conscious growth. The relationship becomes a living laboratory of transformation. Conflicts are no longer failures, but revelations of old wounds, inherited patterns, and shadow fragments. The partner is a sacred mirror, reflecting parts of us we'd never face alone. This demands courage, vulnerability, and commitment to inner truth. But it is also what allows love to root deeply in the soul. Jung stressed that individuation means differentiation, not isolation. In a healthy relationship, each person preserves their identity while opening honestly to the other. There is no symbiotic fusion, only conscious interdependence. Love does not demand self-erasure but self-revelation, and in revealing ourselves, we help the other to see themselves. True partnership requires a mutual willingness to listen and be heard, to confront and be confronted, to hold the tension of opposites without trying to annihilate them. From this tension emerges a third force, a living symbol of union, a sacred space where differences complement rather than cancel each other. This symbolic union mirrors the integration of anima and animus archetypes, balanced in a way that guides the soul toward wholeness. In destined relationships, this process unfolds with intensified frequency. Signs, dreams, synchronicities, and challenges multiply because a deeper purpose is at work. It is not only about building a life together, but about igniting a shared process of healing, expansion, and awareness. This journey is both personal and collective. Of course, this does not mean an absence of pain. The individuation path demands weathering losses, disillusionments, and internal ruptures. Yet what emerges is a more complete version of oneself, someone who no longer needs the other to feel whole, but chooses them out of recognition of their symbolic importance and archetypal resonance. Love thus shifts from need to celebration. Such relationships are rare because they require high consciousness and surrender. They do not rest on promises, expectations, or social roles, but on truth. And truth, however painful, is the only fertile soil for individuation to flourish. When two beings choose to walk this path side by side, each step one takes becomes a step the other also walks. In this kind of bond, the soul finds room to expand. The other is not just any mirror, but a symbolic one, reflecting both who we are and who we might become. When lived with courage, love becomes more than affection. It becomes a path back to oneself, a path back to wholeness. When two souls truly meet, nothing remains unchanged. It is not about finding someone who completes us, but someone who reveals us, someone whose presence awakens what was dormant within. Jung teaches that these encounters are not chance, but symbolic expressions of the journey the soul must undertake toward wholeness. The signs that continually emerge, the synchronicities that insist on happening, the mirrors the other offers, all point to a connection that transcends the rational and touches mystery. Such relationships are not easy but are necessary. They transform us, confront us, and if we are ready, set us free. If you notice certain signs repeatedly appearing in your life, perhaps it's time to listen more closely. Maybe this relationship is not just another one. Maybe it is the mirror your soul has chosen for its growth. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to continue exploring content that reveals the deepest layers of the psyche. And don't forget to watch the next video here on the screen. Your journey of self-discovery continues.